That is the opposite of faith. You can't ask for something, then question whether it's coming or not. And so it's like if you're gonna have faith, be that. Step into it and learn ways to mentally actually have faith.
Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy. And as always, today is going to be a great day. We have with us today an incredible guest who started his career in the police department. When his life took a sharp turn that we're going to learn about today, he went from depression to living a full and happy life, from working 40 plus hours a week to retirement at the age of 28 when he discovered the power of the law of attraction. And today we're talking to this incredible man, father, pilot, professional speaker, and the founder of the voice and the voice of the Thoughts Become Things movement and the Law of Attraction Summit, which is upon us in a couple days. Please join me in welcoming Neo Positivity. Hello, Neo.
Hello, everyone. This is where we normally, yeah,
The
virtual changed
applause.
everything.
I know. Welcome. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you for agreeing to join me in this conversation.
Thank you as well. We've been trying to put this together for a little while now. The energy was there. We just needed to get this timing right. And now we're here. It's perfect. A week before the summit. I'm amped up. I'm ready to go.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Okay, so please share with my audience a little bit of your story and how this all transpired for you. Give us the background and the story that is Neo Positivity.
Oh man, I'll try. It's such a long story.
You got time.
I'll try to squeeze it up. I was a cop in New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey. At the time, it was the most dangerous city in America. And actually, we had a lot of partners, but one of my partners was a retired CIA agent. He told me about this movie that he made that they make all their academy recruits watch in the CIA. And I'm like, I'm SWAT team. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And it ended up being a movie called The Secret that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Wait a minute, they showed
Yes.
that movie in the academy, or he showed it to you privately?
No, no, no. He told me that the CIA makes all of their academy recruits watch this movie.
I had no
Man,
idea.
I didn't either. So I watched this movie. I'm expecting it to be like SWAT team, rapid deployment.
Yeah.
Like I'm expecting some super cop stuff. And it was The Secret, literally the movie The Secret. And I you would think if you ever seen a movie, you would be like, what the heck? What does this have to do with police? But that wasn't my mindset. I just immediately connected the dots from my past of when I was doing visualization techniques or what I've gotten, and I just mashed it all up and I was just instantly hooked. I was hooked. I started to come up with my own little mental exercises because what I was learning from like online, a lot of it wasn't custom to me. It's easy for, Oprah was a big influence. She was the first person that popped up when I could research the law of attraction after seeing The Secret. And her affirmations are obviously going to be different from ours. Hers involve being rich. I'm a billionaire. I own a network. Life is amazing. Look at this vineyard I bought yesterday. So hers are going to be different from ours. So I needed to customize my own. But once I did, I was flying high. I was getting everything I was pointing at, and I immediately pointed at retirement. And 8 months later, through a couple of very, very custom techniques I came up with, like the Watcher Excercise, ended up retiring 8 months later. And from then I was just invincible in my mind. I said, I want custody of my kids, no lawyer. Got it. And it's just ever since then, I've just been pointing at things, pull the trigger, use my little techniques, and I get them along the way. Not a lot of people were talking about the law of attraction, especially in New Jersey. It's super negative. It's like taking the vibe from Philly and New York. It's just encompassing Jersey into this big negative spool. So I started interviewing other people from different areas, California, Texas, Florida, other countries that were talking about it. And I was interviewing people, but secretly I was just grabbing all their information. I'm like, I want to know about this. So that I did that basically for 13 years and just got really good at it, really good at using the law of attraction specifically for what I want. I can almost get anything in 14 days. Like that's my thing. I can anything, car, truck, trailer, vacation, meet a person. Um, and so that interviewing one person at a time turned into me interviewing six people at a time. Cause I mean, what better than that? Two heads are better than one. Six are going to be better than two. So yeah, that's what I do. I throw summits now, right? Have six people just come on, campfire atmosphere, no speeches. They get 30 minutes total. Only 5 minutes is like pitch. And in that 5 minutes, they answer two questions: how to use the law of attraction and what has it done for you. The next 25 minutes, we hit them with questions. I want live, real answers from your heart because it's where the audience is going to pull the best out of you. So, long story short, long story long, that was 2008 till today, and it's been a journey.
So cool. So cool. Absolutely inspirational. So, for those listeners who are unfamiliar with the movie The Secret and unfamiliar with the law of attraction, give us a synopsis of how the law of attraction works.
Well, just think of it like this: if you've ever had a conversation about somebody that you haven't talked about in a while or talked to in a while, and they end up like texting you the next day or inboxing you out of nowhere, you're like, oh my goodness, or anything you're thinking, I was just thinking about that. That energy transfer, that magic that caused that person to call you right after having a conversation with them, that magic can be used to get more than just a phone call. And if I had to go scientific about it, I would just say when you have a thought, it travels down your spine and it releases from your lower back. Research it, and it's as an energy pulse. Um, Now that energy wave doesn't just travel across your city or your state or Earth; it goes across the entire universe. Third law of motion demands that every action has an opposite and equal reaction, which means the universe has to do whatever it has to do to you to make that thought travel back to you, opposite, and be thought again, which is the equal reaction. So when you're thinking about stress and hoping it gets better, the universe has to give you a life where you're thinking about stress and hoping it gets better, which means it's giving you stress. So you have to be very careful with where your thoughts are going. And so that's a general rundown of my take on the law of attraction. The only problem with that is most of your thoughts are on autopilot. You're just going, your brain is just doing what it's doing. And so that's like not the law of attraction. That's more like reprogramming your brain to work within the rules of the law of attraction. And so that's where my main area of focus is. And that's where I try to pull as many answers as I can from other people on how they handle that, so that anyone can use these mental exercises, I like to call them, to change their mindset, change their average thoughts, which uses the law of attraction to change their life.
So cool. Because the truth is, the law of attraction is working all the time. The question is just how aware are you
Yep.
of your influence on it?
But that's what people crack me up. Like if they hear about the law of attraction for the first time, they're like, oh, I think I'm going to start on it Monday. And I just laugh every time. You can't start on Monday. You're doing it now. You've been doing it since you were born. And a lot of people don't get that. Like even after I say that to them, they still go home and they're like, yeah, I'm going to start on Monday. It's like, okay.
So, what was going on in your life at that time that brought you to the idea that you wanted to attract retirement in 8 months? What was that shift for you that you knew needed to happen?
Two things, and they weren't really a shift. They were just who I was.
Hmm.
I've always been the kindergarten counselor. I've been counseling people my whole life. Everybody comes to me with their secrets and I keep them. And I've just always been really good at giving advice. So to complement that with the law of attraction, just was like, okay, that's part of who I am. And my first job at McDonald's, the first day I was there, I just knew working 9 to 5 wasn't for me. I was like, and it wasn't like other people were like, this isn't for me. I don't like working. No, it really wasn't for me. It was like baseball. I tried baseball once, immediately. I knew. So, that mixed that this work crap ain't for me, mixed with, oh wow, I know how to write my future now.
Mm.
that was one of the first things I was going to go for. I mean, getting out of working. And it, like I said, once you're into something that you're supposed to be into, your waves are at your back. You know, I don't even know if I said that today, but yes, once you get it, once you get into something where you're supposed to be, the waves are at your back. The phone calls start happening. People are having conversations about you. Next thing you know, you got this offer, you got this opportunity, and you take it. You take that inspired action, you jump, you leap, and you take it.
It's that beautiful thing some people refer to as flow. You get in the flow. Yeah,
Boom, stay in
beautiful.
it. But
Yeah.
you know what? I think a lot of people don't realize, and I'm recently really keying in on, a lot of flow just means letting go of the wheel. I mean,
Mm.
literally. And I never put these two things together, but I always think of life. I always tell people to try to think of life like a movie. And if you were watching a movie and they got to a stop sign and you were like, make a left, and they made a right, you wouldn't be that sad. You'd be like, okay, on with the movie. But in life, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have this job or I'm gonna have this position by the time I'm 25, and you're 26 and it didn't happen by now. And you're just like all upset and your world is falling apart mentally, where nothing's changing outside of you. So your world up here, you're stressing, manifesting it not happening for another year. And that's the opposite way you gotta be. You have to be like the movie with life. And that's that flow. Let it happen. If something happens that's undesirable, well, that's what happened. You just kind of got to take it like that. And it's easier said than done, but it comes with practice. And if you want it, you'll practice.
Yeah. Really cool. When has life given you something you've wanted, but done it in a way that you didn't expect? So, in other words, what you're talking about is that law of attraction, putting it out there into the universe, saying, this is what I am believing will happen for me. And we have a certain experience that thinks it's going to happen a certain way. And sometimes the universe delivers it to us in a completely different fashion. Has that ever happened to you? Tell us that story.
It's funny you say, has that ever happened to you? Um, that is what broke me.
Wow.
And I call it trying to play God now. Every time I manifest something, it's different from how I thought it was going to be.
Cool.
And I got tired of guessing. I was like, I keep getting my wins. I'm getting the outcome, but I'm wrong about the middleman at least a little bit every time. So I tell everybody, don't focus in on the middleman. You're going to be wrong. Just focus on the outcome and let it happen. And that has enabled me to not obsess over how I'm going to get this or how I'm going to get there. Because I'm like, it's going to be wrong anyway. I'd rather just watch it unfold. And that was the only way I could really let go, because I was that OCD. I was a cop, and, you got control over every little detail of everything. And that's how you make a great outcome, is having controls over every detail, like decorating your house. You got to pick the right color and the right this, move the desk over there. But no, it's like when it comes to life, that's the best way to go, is to not fight the flow.
Wow.
Like the ocean.
I know it.
Just
I
like
know
the
it. You
ocean.
can't stand up against the waves. You gotta just surf them. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And water and electricity both move in the path of least resistance. And
Mm.
you got to think of life like that too. Am I going to resist what's happening because the door closed? And I know the cliche, once one door opens, another one opens. I know that's what people have been saying for years, but is that going to open for me this time? And
Mm.
it's like, nah, you got to be in it. You have to believe in it. That's faith. That's what faith is. We were talking about faith yesterday. I think I was on a podcast yesterday, and it's like, people talk about having faith. Oh, faith. I go to church 3 days a week and I got all this faith. Then they ask for something from God and then worry about it day and night. Is it going to come? Is it going to come? How's it going to come? When's it going to come? That is the opposite of faith.
Mm.
You can't ask for something, then question whether it's coming or not. And
Mm.
so it's like, if you're going to have faith, be that. Step into it and learn ways to mentally actually have faith.
Mm.
And that
Mm.
takes
Oh,
practice.
it's a huge power, superpower,
Yeah.
and it does take practice. And, it's so interesting, I think, especially in business or even parenting, when we have this illusion of control, really is just an illusion. There is that idea of, how can I make sure this transpires? How can I make sure force it to happen? And in stepping into that controlling place, you actually pinch off
Mm-hmm.
what could be coming towards you. I mean, I have so many examples of that in my life where I just closed my ears to opportunities because I was so focused on what I thought was the right way to make something happen.
And an extreme example of that, to anyone who might be listening and think of like surface things like I was, but an extreme example of that is like if you're at a job that you hate
Mhm.
and you're like, I want to leave it.
Mm.
But I know so many people that stuck it out at that job and took my advice, which was to, if you're at a factory and you hate your job and where you just pick this one piece up and put it with another one and throw it in a box and you want to be creating or doing something, what if you were meant to be at that job for another month before you got your big break?
Right.
The company owner's son came in who works in the field, the exact field that you want to be in, and you guys had a great conversation over lunch that changes your life, but you wanted to quit. So go in there and put each and every piece together with masterful perfection,
Mm.
all attention in each and every one. Your days will go by faster. When you do that and put your all into it, you have more pride in your work, even though it's just connecting. I had a job where I literally there were tongs for like science class, and I had to put the rubber parts on it and then throw it. And it was just, when you got done that box, you're like, oh yeah, another box done. And then you go in the back and there's rows and shelves of these boxes that you'll never be able to get through. They got a whole team and they're just going to replace them with more boxes. So it's very discouraging when you're in that situation. But if you're doing every one to your fullest, time goes by faster. Your product comes out better, even though it's just a rubber grip on tongs. Manager sees that you manifest better into your life. So stick with it. Do your job right to your fullest and let the opportunities come. You might not get it. You're not going to get it the way you think you're going to get
There's the promise. Yeah.
it.
How much does, as you were speaking there, my intuition was touching in on something you were talking about, which is the importance of gratitude and appreciation
Mhm.
in terms of the law of attraction. Can you speak a little bit about that?
I mean, 100% is written on a shirt. Thoughts become things. If you're upset about your situation, you're manifesting more being upset about your situation. And if you're sad about it, you manifest being more sad. So, in the spirit of living the best life we can, you got to appreciate that life in order to manifest a future where you're appreciating that life, that house, that car, that spouse, that work, that child, that report card from your child, that
Mm.
level of, your health. Gratitude, attitude of gratitude is the best way to manifest anything in life.
Mm. Love it. And, you mentioned your t-shirt thoughts become things. I think that's such another powerful aspect because sometimes we're not even aware of our thoughts. In
Mhm.
fact, most people are living unaware of their thoughts. And the thoughts are the most powerful parts of these. And, it's so interesting when you started out this interview, I can see, Neo, you just do this so naturally now. You said to me, I wrote it down. You said, I can get everything I want in 14 days. And just saying
Yeah.
that makes it so. Just having that thought and that belief, it comes so easily in 14 days. Well, of course it will.
I don't say that often, and now you make me want to say it more. Like I want to add it to my affirmation. I got a list of certain affirmations that I do every day,
Yeah,
and that is about to be one of them.
I love it. I love
Because
it.
it's so true. I mean, outside of the $1 billion contract, and being the world renowned voice of the thoughts become things movement, everything else I can pretty much pull in 14 days. But I
Mm,
I know where my biggest struggle is to get those two things I just named.
mm,
Seeing yourself with more money than you've ever had is one of the hardest things you can do, because your
mm.
ego's just going to keep saying, no, you don't, no, you don't. And it's going to hit you with your bank statement and prove to you that you don't have that $1 billion. So, and if you've never been there, that makes it even worse. And with the statistics on the amount of people that have made it there, all that's weighing against you. And I'm a work in progress. I think we all are and will be forever. So that part and the whole, biggest, celebrity this and all this other stuff, I'm not even sure if I want that.
Yeah.
The thought of not being able to go into a Walmart and get what I want is terrifying to me.
Hmm.
I mean, because I can order things from, the delivery people that'll go get it for you. But I like to go into Walmart and look around and do stuff like that. So it's not about getting it delivered to my house. It's about going out there and just being in public and stuff like that. So I'm not even sure if that's what I want, but I know that's what would come with
Mm.
bringing the world together on a level that it's never been brought together before. So it's like, you got to be able to see it before you do it. And I obviously am having trouble seeing certain things, and that's what's hindering or delaying them. But I'm on my way. I'm
That's
well
such
on my way.
I think that's such an interesting point too, is we all have challenges in terms of our ability to believe something before we have evidence of it. And I think it's unique to each one of us. And that awareness and understanding and knowing yourself is so important. One of the things you talked about was an exercise, and yeah, I know you have so many of them on your Instagram account, which by the way, I'm putting on in the show notes a link to Neo's Instagram. Please check it out. There
Thank
are some amazing, really cool, quick little exercises, which are really inspirational. But you mentioned this one, the Watcher Exercise. What is the Watcher Exercise?
Oh man, the Watcher Exercise hasn't actually made it to
Oh,
Instagram.
it hasn't. Okay, we're getting a
No.
sneak peek if you wouldn't mind sharing it with us.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it came about. So you have a full in-depth on what I'm talking about, because it is kind of hard to explain to some people. I was taking this government test, and I was in this little small room, no camera or anything like that. It wasn't that serious. But it was one room, one table, one chair, and when I got done the test, I got up, and went to walk for the door, and I tripped over the edge of the table. Like my foot just got caught. And when I stumbled, I kind of felt silly. I looked around like, someone was watching me and saw me, and I just felt silly in front of that being that saw that. And I kind of stopped and
Mm.
thought for a second, because I like to analyze things that all humans have in common. We all laugh, no matter what country you go to. We all laugh. We can all feel the vibe of a room, that where everything's negative. And I know that we can all feel this watching presence, that something's like watching you, like walking down a dark alleyway, Um, and for the people who say that they don't know what I'm talking about or can't feel it, normally, if we were in person, I would say, hold that thought for a second. I'd say, don't move, don't turn around.
Mm.
And I go behind them and I take my phone, I put it on the shelf, and I come back. Now they didn't see what I just did. And I say, okay, go ahead, finish talking. And as soon as they start talking, I say, oh, just so you know, we're live streaming. Don't turn around, but my phone's on the shelf. We're live streaming right now. Go ahead. And right when I do that, they're like, okay. And then they filter what they're saying. They don't know who's watching. And then they start talking again. And I'm like, all right, I didn't turn my phone on. Not show them. I just put it on the shelf. It's face down. I said, but you felt it. When I went live, you felt something watching you on the back of your neck. That's
Yeah.
the watcher I'm talking about. And we can all feel it, whether the camera's up or not, because the camera is obviously not up. So that's how I get people to feel it. But I call that the watcher. We could feel it at any time. So I made a decision in that moment to study it, because I study everything that we all have in common, that I can think of. And upon studying it, not in a book, not online, I want to spend time with it. I want to see what it is myself. That's how I study things. I get quiet and see what's going on up here. And upon studying it, the first thing that I noticed immediately was that it knew I was studying it. And not only did it know I was studying it, I could just feel it. It knew what I was doing. Not only did it know what I was doing, but it could hear what I was thinking while I was doing that. And it could hear what I was thinking every time, forever. And I said to myself immediately, I'm like, wait a minute, watching me at all times, even when I'm not paying attention to it, can hear all my thoughts.
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know.
I don't, It kind of sounds like God to me. And if I'm right, this is the closest as people that we've been able to physically interact or feel that type of, and I was like, whoa, I might be on to something big. And so I started to converse with it. And, upon talking to it, I'm like, all right, it can hear all my thoughts. So what I'm saying to it, it already knows what I went through last week. So it made me not want to talk to it because I felt like it was, mute point or whatever. And so, it led me down many different rabbit holes and foxholes. But what the benefits I got out of it was this. I would normally go to the park, and my son's park, he's 4, and I put my toes in the sand. I'm by myself. It's just me and him. My toes in the sand, and I'll visualize myself in the Bahamas. Now, to me, I call that compound exercising. I'm using the visualization technique, and I'm using some physical aspect to it. Then I take my phone on and play ocean noises in the background. Now I'm
I love
adding
it.
another. So I
Mhm.
compound exercises. So my idea was to do all of that, but bring the watcher in. Watcher is watching me on the
Mm,
beach, toes in my sand. Total different feel.
mm,
Try it. Ended up on the beach. Ended up getting everything I wanted when I was using this exercise. So I had discovered this in the beginning of November 2008. November 28th was my last day at work. And so every day, every time I try to make up some kind of new mental exercise and I throw this spice on it, stuff comes to me faster. And
very
I,
cool.
I, so I try to share that with the Watcher exercise with everybody. I'm like, dude, just at least try it. There's nothing, nobody knows you're doing it. You could just be you and me right here, right now. I could bring, look, if you ever see me post BHI and
Mm,
that's it,
mm,
that just means bring them in, bring them
mm,
into the room, bring in the Watcher just for a second. That's my reminder to you right now at this moment. Just bring them in because I know what it does. It amplifies everything when you just incorporate that watching essence. It's something else. So yes, that's what I call the Watcher exercise. And that one has really moved me,
mm,
that something. I know people that are like, I don't like that feeling. It feels like someone
mm,
watching me. I feel eerie, like it's a ghost or something like that. And I'm just like, you don't know what you're missing out on. I know how
mm.
it feels. It does feel a little creepy, but if you're into the law of attraction, you've obviously dove into oneness and you being one with God and you being one with the Watcher. That's just like another version of me watching me. That's not creepy. I would want to watch over me, so when you tackle it from different angles and adapt different philosophies, you're able to accept this. And then once you accept it, you use the exercise more. And like I said, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
So
It
cool.
makes things, I tell you, 14 days. Because 14 days because of exercises like that.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, thanks for sharing that with us. I love that
Yes.
exercise. I love it.
Yes.
As you were speaking, I was thinking exactly what you said at the end is that the watcher is me. It is
That's it.
one and all of us, and that's just giving ourselves and our subconscious belief system more evidence that it's possible. So it's just increasing and amplifying that possibility. Yeah.
And then you think back to that time you were in a dark alleyway. Or you know what I
Mm,
mean? And you're like, oh, I
mm.
felt like someone was watching me. Yes, I want you to be cautious when you're walking down dark alleyways.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do want to, shine light on the fact that at any given moment, in any meeting or any email you're answering, you could do this even for 1 second. It's better
Yeah.
than not doing it.
You mentioned your 4-year-old son. So
Yes.
sweet. What is his name, Neo?
I named him Amor, which means love, because I wanted, everyone to think the word love as soon as they started a conversation
Got
with him.
Love it, love it.
That was the law of
Um,
attraction right there. I didn't
right
know the law
there,
of attraction when I named my other 2 kids, but since I know it, know it now, I'm like, I'm definitely instilling that in him that
imprinting this
way.
on you.
Yeah.
So cool. So how do you teach the law of attraction to Amor?
Oh man, you have to, because he does now, but because he didn't know what a thought was, I had to
Mm,
lead by example. I had to
yeah.
use my actions. I noticed him watching me because I'm retired. I'm here all day. He wakes up with me. I'm put him to sleep. He sees me and I notice
Mm,
him watching me on a phone call. And specifically, it was an upsetting phone call where I had to dig in somebody's butt for not doing what they were
mm,
supposed to do and almost, almost making me look bad. And, reputation is everything for people like us. So I was digging in somebody's butt and he saw me. And when I hung up the phone, I walked around the corner so he couldn't see me, because you gotta woosah, I gotta get out of this mindset. And I
Mhm.
make sure I do that after every email, good or bad. I get away after this podcast. I'm just gonna go outside and stare at the trees for 30 seconds. I do that. And what I noticed is he was watching me do that too. I
Mm.
saw his head pop around the corner. He ain't say nothing. Normally he would say something, but he didn't say anything, which means he popped his head around the corner to observe. And he wanted to see how I was going to handle the aftermath of that phone call in my mind. And that's when I got it. That's when it clicked. That's how you teach thoughts become things to a child that doesn't know what a thought is.
Yeah.
He sees what you're doing, then he sees what you're doing next. And he saw how I handled that phone call and how everything in life just kind of works out. So leading by example is the only way to do it. And now that he knows, I started to explain to him, at first I had him picture things, and then I talk about dreams, stuff like that. So now he's getting into knowing what a thought is. And so now I can actually say things like, well, you think about that toy and you're happy about it and you get another toy. And he's like, that's all I gotta do? And it's like, yes, that's all you gotta
So
do.
so powerful. Can you
Yes,
imagine
dear.
learning that at 4, you know?
Oh my
Imagine
gosh.
it's gonna be so exciting to watch his life
Yes.
roll, and see what happens in his life and his trajectory. So cool. So cool.
I'm real big on, like, children, and, like, I'll even before the law of attraction, I always said there's nothing like watching a 3-year-old try to put on the jacket.
Oh.
They discover so much trial and error, lessons they'll never forget, like, "Oh, alright," and then they're gonna put it on the same way for the rest of grab your sleeve
Yeah,
and push it, whatever it
yeah,
is, you know
yeah, and so present in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
present,
yeah,
you're present watching them. It's the whole
yeah,
experience for everybody. It's just invigorating. And normal people would be like, "What? It's just a jacket, it's just a child
yeah.
putting on a jacket." But nah, it's like that. I've always said that, about children, and to be trying to wield this perfect law of attraction wielding machine out of him. It's been a treat. It's been a treat. I didn't know about the law of attraction until my daughter was Oh man, she was a little bit older. My other son was a little bit older. Yeah, so I'm not gonna say it was too late, but I just wished I had it earlier. Like I got him, so now he's like a project for me. I've always looked at my kids as 18-year projects anyway. You know,
I like it.
let's do
It's
the
so
best
funny
you
as you're
can.
talking about you just do the best you can, then let go of the wheel, right?
Yep.
Um, but, you're talking about I love 4. 4 is one of my favorite ages, and I remember one of the things I love about 4-year-olds is they step out of time, and it reminds you, when they're playing, they have
Mhm.
no concept of time passing, dinner's ready in 5 minutes, they don't have a concept of that, and I think that that's another one of those places where we can get into our own way of the law of attraction when we add this component of our expectation of time.
Mhm.
And I love that superpower in a 4-year-old is that they just step right out of it. It doesn't apply to them. The laws of time don't apply to them. I think we can learn so much from them in that regard.
He's my reminder for that.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that as a parent, or else you end up like yelling at your kids or disciplining them for things that,
Mm,
they're not even understanding.
mm,
Like for Walmart, perfect example. A lot of people don't understand your child doesn't know what money is. They don't know you
mm,
got to pay for that. Far as they know, they can have everything they see, but for some reason, you're not letting them have this. I've been good. Why aren't you letting me have this? And you walk out of store and you're like, oh, I can't pay for that. I can't pay for that. They don't know what payment is. They just think for some reason, my mommy or daddy isn't letting me have this today. And so you just got to take a step back every now and then and think about stuff like that. Even with like 16-year-olds, think about what was instilled into
mm.
them at an early age. I just learned about imposter syndrome like last week. And I've heard the phrase for so long, but I thought it had to do with being an imposter. I didn't know it
Mm.
had to do with feeling like one as opposed to. So, yeah, I just learned about it and I'm like, wow, I had that really imposter syndrome, like really drilled into my head as a child. And I drilled it into my 16-year-old's head,
Mm,
just with report cards. I spent basically, basically some sixth grade up. I was on punishment for my report
mm,
card. And
mm.
that is you're not good enough. You're not doing
Yeah,
good enough. And you
right.
know that you're never gonna make O's. You're never gonna make hundreds and A pluses like Susie and David over there. So it's you'll never be good enough for that. When I was coming up, they had something called the Gifted and Talented program. And you had to have like perfect 100s, and you can only have like 199 before you end that. But what are you telling everybody else? That they're
Yep.
not gifted or talented. And so it's like, man, my son he went through the same struggles. My daughter was a straight A student. He was struggling with D's. I had to stay on
Mm,
top of him for his homework. He was always on some kind of punishment or whatever. And it's like, well, I'm like, dang, I wish I knew about this before. I would have changed how I handled things. So, but I got another chance.
yeah, yeah, and, your kids have a chance to learn it for themselves with a new intellectual capacity, and the lessons that experience teaches us sit so true to us. Sometimes we gotta let them fall a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the
Imposter
hardest
syndrome
thing.
is a big thing though. I
Yeah,
am so I'm so on top of it.
yeah,
It's weird because if you got that A+, you got it. You're not an imposter. It's in the books. It's there. You got it, but you can't celebrate the victory. And that has troubled me for years. And all of the coaches I've interviewed over the years, we've talked about it a couple of times, but no one's ever said that's
had it
imposter
land.
syndrome.
Wow,
Until
fascinating.
last Friday
Yeah,
or something. And I was like, so it's been like a little bit over a week now. But I came
so
up with
cool.
she showed me some exercises. Hope Fitzgerald, she's going to come into the summit and say hi. I hope you come to the summit and say
I
hi.
would love to, absolutely. Actually, while we're talking about it, tell us about the summit before
Oh,
before
yeah.
we, go any further. We gotta let our audience members know.
It's
It's coming up.
August 20th, which is this Saturday. It's from
Mhm.
noon to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm going to sit back in a round table campfire type atmosphere and just ask questions and pull the best law of attraction tips I can out of my speakers. I got some really, really good speakers. I got a actress, 7-time Emmy award winning composer, the number one female mortgage executive in the country. It's just
Nice.
really, really top level speakers, and we're going to just be pulling information. I got a bunch of other speakers popping in just to say hi and share their stuff. So it's just going to be a great time. Lightning rounds, panel discussions, all questions, no speeches. You guys are going to get the real, just like you get like at an interview like this. Like you see me, I'm just giving you what I got, and I'm giving you the best. I make sure my speakers do that. There's no sign up for my package, $5.99, none of that. When they come, they're coming and bringing you the best mental exercises they do throughout the day. And they're going to give you the proof that it works by showing you this is what I'm doing. This is my life. So, yeah, great time, great atmosphere, great way. I always leave with this are notes like this. I'm writing them on the board. I got pages full of notes. I'm leaving with, I'm a law of attraction master. I consider myself, but I
Very
leave
cool.
every one of these with so much more stuff to add to my tool belt, and that's what you want. And like I said, great vibe. You end that thing feeling like you're going to take over the world, and you take
So
that,
cool.
take that information and flow it right into your work and your home. I think that's the best part about the law of attraction. It works for everything, work and home, and
Mm,
play with your friends, your tools, your cars, your toys. It's a part of everything. So that's why it's so great when you get that great information.
so cool. Well, we'll be sure to put a link in the show notes, but for those of my listeners who are listening to this in the car, how can we find this link to the Law of Attraction Summit?
Neopositivity.com. That's it. Once you go there,
Neopositivity.com.
you get all the links to everything you need, from Instagram to I do a subscription. I have 43 different mental exercises. I do a subscription. It goes out 5 days a week through email, different exercise every day. So since there's 43 of them, you won't get the same one for like 2 months. So when we circle back to the first one, you're like, oh, I forgot about that. Such a great one. And quick example of that is like, how would it feel to? I love that one because if you were to say, I'm retired, I'm retired, I'm retired, like for those who aren't into affirmations, I suggest you get into them. If you say yes 10 times, by the third time, you're going to be smiling. And by the fifth or sixth time, your brain is going to be throwing at you reasons to say yes, yes.
Mm,
And that's what you want. You want your brain throwing at you happy thoughts. So this affirmation in particular, if you were to say, I'm retired 10 times, your brain's probably, your ego's going to step up and say, no, you're not. No, you're not. You know what it would take to retire at that age, da, 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 da. So it's like, you have to say something else. And how would it feel to be retired is perfect because it's a question. Your ego has no choice but to shut up and let your subconscious honestly answer that question, which is amazing. Now you're feeling like, oh, it would be amazing to be retired. I'd be able to do this and that. And when you're sitting in that headspace, you're watering that seed, you're pulling that future towards you literally because you're vibrating at its frequency, and any two things that vibrate at the same frequency will naturally pull towards each other. So how would it feel to is a great one. You can use it for anything. How would it feel to be in a great relationship? How would it feel for my son to have great grades? How would it feel to for it to be a great weather this weekend because of this event I got going on? And just sit in it, marinate in it. And so yeah, exercises like that, everything, one-stop shop, neopositivity.com.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for everything that you're doing. This is such impactful, important, powerful work. And it just oozes off of you. And I feel so much just enthusiasm and passion around it from you. I could just feel that this is your life's work and it's such important work. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. And
Yeah.
specifically, thank you for being what I call a soldier in the war on negativity. You could be doing anything else with your time right now, but you're taking the steps and putting the effort to making the world a better place. So we need more people like us. So everyone listen, recruit people, recruit people to get in and
Yeah.
spread this. It's just positivity,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
Just
send out this
positivity.
podcast episode to a friend. You never know what they might hear that might change their life around as well, just in terms of the law of attraction. Before we go, Neo, I want to ask you, what is your definition of happiness?
It's a it's a state of being.
Mm,
It's a state of being that's lasting, because I
mm,
could be happy by saying affirmations for the next 30 seconds, but right after that, I can go back to this life, you know. But
mm,
when I'm not going to say content, there needs to be a level of joy. You need to be happy about what's going on around you, your situation, which means it's all day,
mm,
not just in pockets of the day that you fight for, all
mm,
day. That's my goal. That's why I get up and do all this every day. I'm retired. I don't have to do none of this. But I
mm,
do it because I want everyone to feel like I feel.
mm,
Because this is amazing. I didn't feel like this for the first 28 years of my life. And once I got it, for one, I'm never going back. And for two, I need everyone to feel like this too.
mm.
And that's why I do it, for that exact question you asked.
Magic. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for joining us here today. And remember, when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Bye bye.